to get today's party started, we have an important task. We gotta go run some errands. Let's let old girl warm up, and we need to go rip around and find a new heater element for old trusty here. I would say once every couple years this heater element goes out. It's pretty reliable, if I'm being frank. It's a good oven. The $20, I think it was, marketplace find treats us well. So what size bolt is that? All right. How many tries does it take? Come on. If you're wondering what size your heater element screws are on a POS oven, is the brand, 6mm. Sure hoping we can find one of these elements locally. If not, it's not the biggest deal in the world because we do have the big oven. Now to heat up the big oven just... Oh. Hold up. What in the jimmy's going on here? The element might be fine. One of the wires is burnt. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick test. Very carefully, I'm gonna take our wires. I don't think it matters on which side they go on. But let's wrap it around. Okay, make sure they're not touching each other's appropriate location. Something janky like that. Okay, let's turn this old girl on. And I should know within a few seconds if this heater element wants to get warm. Pfft, we're freaking golden, dude. All right. Somehow the wire just came off. So let's get this valve cover back in the oven and we'll be good. Good to go. Last night we powder coated the valve cover. It was pretty late and our oven was not heating up to temp. There are spots of it that are fully cured, other spots that are not cured at all. I'm hoping we can rebake it and be good to go. So while that stays in the oven, I'm gonna go try and find some screws. How many screws do we need? I think it's like 20 screws for the valve cover baffles that we tapped for yesterday. So some 8/32, preferably stainless hardware to bolt these baffles back onto the valve cover. I just want to get this valve cover 100% finished up this morning, and then we can move on from there. Here it is all finished up. It looks like it baked out just fine, flattened out like it should, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Let's go ahead and install the baffles. So I picked up 21 screws, and if you want to know how to drill and tap this thing properly, as you can see, there's some nice threaded holes for the baffles. Go check out yesterday's upload, and I went over all of that. All right, so here are the baffles. Got them all nice and cleaned up. That one goes on that side. This one goes on that side. These screws I will be Loctiting in place just to make sure they never back out. Go ahead and place on some Loctite. So the hard part with the valve cover is done, right? If we ever want to change the color again, it's not going to take hours and hours and hours. It's going to take 1/10 of the time. Because the hard part is, time-consuming part, is drilling and tapping this thing for the screws. Now before the motor goes in the car, we need to do everything related with the firewall. So that's going to include, I'll go more in depth on that later, but stuff like the brake booster, the brake lines. Any sort of wiring need to go in first? I don't think so. I really want to just get this motor in the car with all the front suspension and everything done, just to get it off the floor. That would be sick. That'd be super nice. Clutch master needs to go in. There's a lot of stuff, honestly, that needs to go on first before the motor should go in. So every bolt is tightened down, Loctited in, good to go. Some people go as far as to weld those guys on to the baffles. Now I think that's a little bit excessive, especially seeing how we may have to change the color in the future if we don't like it. Red Loctite does the trick. It's never failed me. Slap on a new gasket, or a seal, I guess you'd probably call this one, being rubber. Don't forget the ones for the spark plug holes. Bam, bam, bam. And this whole girl is ready for the engine. Don't forget that plug there. I already got that guy in last night. Ooh. Now that is quality. Before I even bolt it down, I got a part. It's just gonna be freaking icing on the cake. Wow, that's nice. All of this titanium hardware we're about to install for the valve cover, I will link all of this down below as well. Now there's 3 different styles of bolts. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think all the long ones bolted down. The 4 up top are most likely for the coil packs. These 3 here, I'm not so sure, so I'll just hang on to them. Don't forget the washer. That's nice. Now tracking does show, and I could be wrong, that our freeze plugs and our Firewall bolts are both out for delivery. That's like 3 days early. Must be a Christmas miracle. So if that's the case, that would be nice. So the washers only go on the outer perimeter. The ones in here do not get the washer. I don't know the torque spec on these bolts. Just a couple of turns with the wrench to finish her off and we'll be fine. It's a valve cover for Pete's sake. If your valve cover's seeing excessive pressure, you got bigger problems. For now, let's consider this motor complete. There's a couple more things we're waiting on. That front cover there, or that bracket, that is also a cover. Flywheel bolts, and this beautiful masterpiece of an engine can go into the car. Now in the meantime, let's just go ahead and set her aside. You know what? I should probably cover it up. I don't want dust and debris and whatnot going in it. But in the meantime, I'm gonna start messing around with the Firewall. Pull off the fenders so we do not scuff them up. Okay, so here we have all of the brake lines, the ABS pump, a freshly powder coated ABS pump bracket, and what else? All the clips for the ABS lines, or the brake lines. I did order some new replacement clips as well, because I think I broke a couple of those while removing. So I'm gonna replace those. Let me find those real quick. So I think the first thing to go ahead and install is this ABS pump. So let's get her back on the bracket. It's gonna sit like so. Wonder what I could do with this piece here. I don't really love how it looks. Let's do a quick diagnosis. Let's remove it, if possible, and see, even if I could just paint it a nice flat black. I know that wouldn't be OEM, but still. That would be better than the crust that's on it now. Now there is a chance I could just destroy this pump right now. Not really an ABS pump expert, but I'm sure I have a spare. That should be pretty easy. I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna mask off the backside, and we can go through, and I think I'm just gonna paint this thing. If I have a nice flat silver here, I'll do that. If not, I'll just do a flat black. Of course, we don't want any sort of debris getting on the inside. Bobby Wallace.
Hello, Haas.
What's up?
I was wondering if you were at the shop.
Always.
Can I come by?
Always.
And can I possibly wash my Honda?
Always.
All right, I'll be there in a jiffy.
I'm very happy with that masking job. Now let's run over to, I'm just gonna grab some Scotch-Brite and scuff her up. You already know, SEM satin black. Of course we can't powder coat this piece. That would be a little bit funny. Probably do 2 coats of this, let it dry, reassemble. Hopefully it looks somewhat decent. Now look, I know we already repainted our brake booster. I don't think it looks good. Well, it's all dusty right now, but This thing was painted with the gloss version of that paint. And there's like some dirt in the paint, and I think it should be more of a flat black anyway. I need to completely resand this thing all the way down and redo it. Start off with 400. Get her all scuffed up. I'm going to move on to Scotch-Brite just to ensure all the cracks and crevices are fully scuffed. Trying to get paint on my seals. I feel like paint would probably dry them out. So, stuff some paint down in, or some tape down in there. Okay, Bobby, you have to help me decide something. I'm torn. Okay.
I already know the question.
What?
If you gotta strip this all and make it immaculate.
Well, I mean, if you take a look at them, like there's some scuffing and corrosion. No, there actually
Okay,
is.
well, what color? Would it just be black?
I think I would just do a flat black like this. Because let's be real, this green is pretty damn ugly.
That's green?
Yeah, there's factory green.
Ew.
What do you think? It wouldn't take me long.
Then why is it such a hard conversation in your head?
Because it kind of would take long, if I'm being honest. It would be like a 3-hour thing.
What? For those
But-
chintzy things?
If you understand, they all run on the firewall right here, and they have to look good.
Just spray painted them.
You want me to be a rattle can redneck?
Yeah.
That's what Bolton Bader does, not, I don't know my name.
I say change them, but rattle can them.
I'm not gonna rattle can them.
Okay, then do it the right way.
So Bobby's making me powder coat my brake lines.
I'm not making you.
It would be sick to, I don't know what would be sick, but let's go ahead and coat these. So it's gonna be a little bit tricky, if I'm being honest. If we take a look at the brake line, we have all the banjo fittings, you guys see? So we can go ahead and paint just the head, but not the thread, or not paint, but powder the head, but not the threads. If I could ideally get these off and have them re-zinked, that'd be cool, but that ain't gonna happen because they're flared. I'd have to just completely remake
No
the,
zinking.
yeah.
That's
So
too
all black
hard.
is gonna be sick. The best move for these is gonna be to go ahead and put them in the powder coat strip tank and get them stripped all the way down. Just a nice quick sandblast, and then we have to obviously clean them out very, very good. And I'm gonna have to fire up the big oven for these because there's no way they'll fit in the small one.
There's no way.
So I think this is gonna be a good move. Bobby, thanks for your advice, and
Well, my real advice was spray paint, but it's fine.
yeah, that's janky. Anyways, since you're the interior king,
Today?
no, not today,
Oh.
but I need to plan around that. Unless
Okay.
you just don't care. That's fine.
About that?
I'll just build the world's nicest car by myself without your help.
What do you mean? The interior's all new, I thought.
No, we have the carpet, we got the headliner.
And it's all the old stuff? Carpet's the old stuff?
Yeah, it's nice, it just needs to be cleaned. I just don't.
Frick. I need to order a steamer for your carpet. What?
We can pressure wash. It's probably gonna be a 2-day thing. One day to clean everything, one day to assemble everything.
I would prefer to do it like Saturday. Cleaning Saturday.
Okay. Then
But-
Sunday, I'm assembling.
Honey, that's our day.
We can assemble together. Definitely be needing to order another barrel of this stuff. Yeah, this is gonna be a little bit tricky to get these things stripped properly. Just one edge at a time, I guess. I wonder what kind of coating this is, because it's definitely not paint. It almost feels like a rubberized coating on it. Okay, let's let that sit for a sec. Whatever coating this is, the powder coat stripper is doing nothing to remove it. I have no idea what's on here. It does appear that it is some sort of rubberized coating on the brake lines, and it kind of softened it up a little bit. So we're kind of screwed. We got to move forward with that. So they're back in the strip tank, and I'm gonna let them sit in there forever. In the meantime, let's assemble our ABS pump. So this guy goes on like this. There's only one way it can go on, thankfully. So I definitely did not see how it came apart. But it goes like that. That looks nice. I can approve of that. I wish our bolts were replated, but can't really see them anyway. This guy goes here. ABS pump is all finished up. I like how it turned out, and it bolts on right here. The clutch master plate installed, and now the master can work its way back there. These things are a straight pain in the butt to get in if pretty much any other part is on, so I like to do that guy first. And now we may as well install our big, beautiful brake booster. Now you may be noticing we're missing something on the firewall. Some Evos have this mat, some don't. Of course, if I was to run this mat, I would need to replace it. This thing is not very, I mean, it's nice. Like for a traditional project, it's nice. But for a car that I want to be immaculate, this is not nice. And like I said, some Evos run it. I think the RSs don't, and maybe a couple other models don't have this mat. And I'm opting to not run it on this car. I think it's gonna look cleaner without it, and obviously it's not necessary. I mean, it would be nice. It's probably extra protection from the cabin if something in the engine bay were to catch on fire. But seeing how this car is gonna be wrapped in bubble wrap and stored away for life, it's fine. With the booster on, we can go ahead and set on the brake master. Find the two appropriate zinc plated nuts and thread those guys on. Now there's a hose that runs from the reservoir over to the clutch master, and I should probably get that on as well while we're back here. I'm super excited, super stoked, I guess would be the right terminology, with how the booster turned out. I think the flat black is a much better look, if I'm being completely frank. Also, I have a really bad habit I'm trying to not do on this build of putting stuff on and threading on nuts and then forgetting to tighten said nut. So let's not do that this time around. Before I assemble that hose, let's swap out our cap. This, my friends, is extremely nice. Ooh, yes. Firewall stuff's coming along. Really need to just get these brake lines installed, and then we can start cranking on some other stuff from there. All right, I crawled up in the bay. So I just got that guy installed where it belongs. There is a bracket that goes right here. I think it goes off that stud and bolts there. I think it's gonna be easier to get some of this, or most of this stuff installed before the motor's in. That's not the right bolt either. This bracket, I believe, goes here. So there are a few lines or clips for the fuel lines. One that's gonna go back here for both of the lines, and then one that goes up here for just the return line. So let's do this guy first. Get the rubber on. Thankful I have the blue 9 right now, the blue Evo 9. I keep having to run over there and check out how brackets are installed, what bolts are used where, things like that. So it's been super helpful. And then this one, let's see how this goes. Well, this took way longer than I care to admit, but we now have a set of bare brake lines. I would never do this again, 100%. It took an excruciating amount of time, but as you guys can see, all that weird rubberized coating is now off. We are ready to powder coat these things. I'm gonna be very diligent with the color I choose because this is ridiculous. I think that nice blackjack is gonna be the move. Well, I know it is. So I need to go ahead and mask off some threads. And of course, we do not want powder coat getting inside either. So we'll kind of mask both off at the same time and then go ahead and get them powder coated. I'm trying to leave a little bit of the threads up top exposed near the nut, because if you've ever seen one of these guys installed, you would know that you can see some of the threads. And I don't want those rusty. So there's how it looks. Spraying these out with powder is going to be quite interesting. Not really sure how it's going to go. I guess we will see here in a minute. Let's see how the heck we're going to hang these things up so we can properly powder coat them. I have some wire jammed into the end here, taped on. Make a little hook out of that, I guess. Well, that didn't work. Well, I finally found a good solid way to hang them. They've been in the oven. Let's pop them out. I'm just gonna hot coat these guys, spray them out while they're warm so we can make sure we get adequate coverage, put them back in and bake them. I know it's a little bit ridiculous spending this much time on freaking brake lines, but we kind of have all the time in the world right now because we're still waiting on those parts that are probably not going to arrive today, which is not a big deal. While I wait on the powder to be done, I think it's the easiest to put our clips on first before the brake lines. So I got a bunch of new OEM clips. You just go on these guys here for the ones that run down to the calipers. Went and took a look at the blue 9 to see where all these go. Brake lines just came out of the oven. These things heat up very fast, which also means they cool down very fast. Very thin. Very stoked with how these guys turned out. Enough of that. Let's figure out how the heck they go on the Firewall. Once again, thankful I have the blue 9 because I'm able to go over there and take photos. So I know how this one goes. The top corner. Hoping I can tighten all these fittings with no issues. That would be ideal. I know this one runs to the master cylinder over here. Okay, that looks right. This other one is gonna run to the top of the brake master. Okay, that makes sense. Everything's just lightly getting threaded in for now. I just wanna make sure we do all this OE spec. Rear brake line. This should be the passenger side rear. Right there. So nice when everything just clips in exactly where it should. This thing is shaping up very nicely. Super excited. I spent the literally $10 on all these brand new clips because those look beautiful. All right, next line. Let's do the other side rear, and then all of that we have left is the driver's front. Man, oh man. I know this took a long time to do this powder coat job, and it was honestly a tough call because they were bare. We could have polished them or done black. I'm glad that we did the black. The black on the yellow, best combo possible. Bam, bam. I think this is the most fun I've had on this car. It's putting on brake lines. Okay, how is this one gonna fish through there? Looking good. There, right there, right there. Bolts in there, and then clips in right there. Now remember, when I took these out, I kind of had to bend them a little bit to get them out properly. So trying to shape them back up is a little bit difficult. I want everything to be as symmetrical as possible, of course. But that's the gist of it. What do you guys think? Not bad? I mean, they are just brake lines, but still. These are the nicest brake lines I've ever seen. Now, let's go through and try and tighten these fittings. Let me show you what I'm gonna use. Now, if they're painted, I'd be a lot more worried, but this here is a brake line wrench is what I call it. Might be called something else, but being powder coated, we should be good to go. So this guy goes right there, just a little boot. That guy will go through there. And that is ready for the soft line or the braided line that runs to the caliper. I think I know what this is. Beautiful, brand new freeze plugs. Hopefully these are the right size. So that didn't last long. Let's go ahead and pull the cover back off the motor that we just put on this morning and get these freeze plugs in. Then we can move on to a whole lot more stuff as soon as these guys are in. Whenever flywheel bolts show up, this motor in the trans is going back in the car. Truth be told, I have never installed freeze plugs in my life, but what I did is I went ahead and put them in the freezer. Now, I'm gonna try to tap them in. Come on. So I got all of the freeze plugs in that I could get in. Unfortunately, I was shorted a few. This Evo takes 7 35mm plugs and then 2 of the 40mm, and I only got 5 of the 35mm. So I'm hoping I can find some local tomorrow. That'd be ideal. But for now, let's get a few more parts on this thing. Decided to have this here coolant pipe zinced, and I think it's gonna look pretty sweet. Thermostat housing goes here. We may as well get a true look of how she's gonna be chilling. Should look nice. Really want to get the motor in tomorrow, but with that missing freaking bracket, which also means we can't really get the timing covers on properly, I don't want to rush it. There is a chance the dealer will call me tomorrow and say, yo, your bracket's here. So I guess we'll see. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna look good. It's really tough, I feel like, to make a color look good with yellow. All the neutral colors that we got, I think it was the right move. Now tell me what you think about that. Yeah, that bracket has to be on before the timing cover goes on. Now we could get the timing cover on in the car, but is it worth all the added BS of like scratch and frame rails and stuff? Probably not. That looks pretty sick. I like it. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I would spend a whole day making brake lines and ABS lines inside of a yellow Evo's engine bay look nice, I would say you're high. But here we are. I just did that. And I'm happy I did that. That's the funny part about it. That was a good day. I'm stoked with how my bay's looking. I am very obsessed with nice looking bays, if you guys have not noticed over the years. Type R, fully tucked and shaved and tubbed and all the works. Evo, different story. Just OEM, but better than OEM is my goal. Gonna wrap it here. Hope you guys enjoyed. If we can get that bracket, man, motor's going in tomorrow. If we can't get the bracket, we'll do other shenanigans. Guess we'll see. Stay tuned to see what happens.